Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 5-3 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day four. Day four is right here in this white rectangle. Now, if this is your first forecast with us, I would recommend you back out of this video. Right below it is the 5-3 emotional 6.5 day overview. And when you watch that, what it's going to do is it's going to kind of break these graphs down and let you know how we go through them, as well as how you're going to keep up with us, because when we do these 24-hour forecasts, we scoot right along. All right, so day four is definitely going to be a transitional day. So day one, day two, and day three, we had big polarity flips that were happening in the emotional, in the mental first person, mental third person. Now, what's going to happen here in day four is we've got a little transition where we don't have anything major quite happening yet. Now, in the beginning of day four, you can see there's just a little bit of overlap with this mental polarity flip. Then we're going to get through this 24-hour period, and there's one significant bump here halfway through the third person graph. And then we're going to get into this new emotional polarity flip that's going to start on day five. Okay. So first person's pretty much reset into zero. Third person, there's that little bleep right here, and it starts out right here. When we look at the combined, we're getting to that level four, and here's that bleep down here that's bringing it up, right? So this is really the biggest thing. But again, day four is a transition day. So I'm guessing you've been getting through some stress here in your first 3 days. Try to resolve any of that stress. Definitely don't make it worse, and then hang on to your hat, because day five, day six, and day 6.5 are going to be pushing that envelope again, where we've got this roller that's going to hold and maintain. Okay. So this is the pattern that's really going to activate your defensive design, and everyone is affected by this pattern. Now, if it gets up to a four, it's very likely we're going to be manipulated and we're going to act defensively. If it doesn't get to a four, does that still mean we're being manipulated? We're always being manipulated by our design. Okay. And it's important to understand this, because your choices, well, they matter. So let's get down here and look at testing sequence for this next 24-hour period. Now, these are the frequencies that make space-time reality possible, and these frequencies are connected to your choices. So if your choices are unbalanced, what's going to happen is it's going to cause problems to the quadrants of your body where your choices are unbalanced. And it's this simple. You got to commit to your team. So you have to overcome your defensive design, and you have to understand that every single member of the team, which is every single interconnected family in this world, well, we're equally important, and we need to be getting along with one another. And to get along with teammates, you got to be able to communicate with them, coordinate with them, talk through stress, alleviate stress with them, and most importantly, synchronize and make sure that we're doing routines together and investing our time as a team that's going to leave every future teammate in this world better off because of what we've done here. So what that means is you have to work towards the team, and it has to be reflected in your overall individual routine. Meaning, not only do you have to get along with every member of every family in this interconnected experience, but you have to think about how you're contributing to every member of every interconnected family by what you decide to invest in on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you commit to your team and you balance your routine in a way that's going to leave every future team better off because of what you've done, you don't have to worry about these governing frequencies. If you're unbalanced, well, you're going to feel it in the areas that your relationships are unbalanced. And in day four, we're going to be tested very similar here throughout each quadrant. Nothing's really changed. So if you look from day three to day four, no change in the upper left, really. If you look from day three to day four in the upper right, no change. Maybe a little drop off in day four for the lower left, and the lower right staying pretty much the same. Now, again, if you want to heal, if you want to slow aging to a crawl, and most importantly, you want to get out of this negative feedback loop. You see, space time teaches you in one of two ways: a negative way where you suffer, or a positive way where things go well. And we happen to be in the negative side where we suffer more than we enjoy. If you want to get out of this, well, then you got to understand this graph right here. So this is the Plutonic Master Key, and this is for day four, and it's showing you where the five strongest frequencies are going to be and what they're going to be testing you for. Okay. Now, this Plutonic Objective Master Key is literally this simple to understand. You would look through these 8 perspectives through a first-person view, and you would look through these 8 perspectives through a third-person view. And then what this chart does is it shows you how every combination, it would take 64 combinations before you completely understood all 8 perspectives from both first and third-person view. And what happens in space-time reality is certain awarenesses, and this is a very organized pattern, We can show you what this pattern will be going forward indefinitely and going backwards indefinitely. It just shows you what we're being tested on and what's supposed to be happening. So, first of all, what are we being tested on? We're being tested on how well we get along with our teammates and how balanced our routines are. And what you'd want to do to know is, well, what's the future look like because of what you invest in right now? Your personal investments are going to bring a future, and is that future going to be fair and balanced for all 8 of these perspectives? Let's just do a couple of these and you can see how it works for all of them. All right. So the 8-4 is checking to see how balanced the future world is going to be because of your choices and how balanced the mothers of that future experience will be because of your choices. If you're out of balance with the world, well, that's the first person perspective. Here's the capital M. That's for the macro mental. The small m, that's for the micro mental. So if you're having problems with balancing at that world level, it's going to be affecting this left lower quadrant, and that's going to happen the entire year. So if this is one of those years where you're just like, I don't know what's going on, but my left lower quadrant, my hip, my knee, my ankle, it just won't go away. It's the 8-4, and specifically, it's this view that's causing it. Now, if you were having trouble with how you're going to leave this for future mothers, that's going to affect the opposite side. So in third person, that's going to affect the right lower quadrant. So again, if the entire year you've been having right-sided lower quadrant pain, we can be pretty certain it's the 8-4. Now, for this micro mental and for this macro emotional, this one moves every 7.5 days. This moves every 6.5 days. So we're trying to help you understand why pain seems to move around in increments of a week. So when something starts to bother you and you notice it and it goes on for almost a week, these two are the ones that we're really paying attention to, because as these change and they start to test a different area of the body, you're going to notice that if you're not in balance with these, that's the area of your body you're going to really feel. Now, this micro mental, if you're out of balance with this wants to see, well, how do future families look for your choices and how do future individuals look for your choices? If you're out on the family one, that's going to cause some problems in the right lower quadrant. And if you're out in the third person aspect of it, this one here, the individual, that's going to cause problems in the left lower quadrant. So you can see that the capital M and the small m, in this case, they're reversed. So you really got to pay attention to when you feel what you feel, because sometimes these two things will also align and make it more likely that you're going to have an exacerbation or more problems with that quadrant of your body. Now, the next one here is this emotional. That's the 5-3. How are your current choices going to affect future individuals? How are your current choices going to affect future fathers? If it's out of balance, this is where you're going to experience. If it's the first person side, it's going to be the right upper quadrant. If it's the third person side, it's going to be the left upper quadrant. And then these are the physical macros. These are changing every 12 hours. So it's important to really pay attention. So day to day, if you notice that for 12 hours this day, or that you had a couple good days and then all of a sudden you had a couple bad days, these are the ones you check into. So if pain's not moving really at all and is staying put for the year, this is the one we look at. If it's moving 6 to 7 days at a time, these are the two we look at. And if it's changing and it seems to be changing on a daily basis, these are the two you're looking at. So the first physical macro, how do your current routines and your current relationships, how are they going to affect the futures for daughter? And how are they going to affect the future for nations? Now, if you're out of balance with this P1, you're going to feel that in the upper left, okay? And if you're out of balance with the P1 on the third person side, you're going to feel that in your lower right. Now, when we look at the second 12-hour frequency here, the P2, this is going to see, well, how are your present choices? How are the future mothers going to be affected by that? And the future world going to be affected by that? And you can see P2 is going to affect the right lower quadrant in the second 12 hours in first person, and it's going to affect the upper left quadrant in the second 12-hour period of time. That's how you connect where these are sitting to the silhouettes of the body, what parts of the body are going to be affected by that. Now, I hope that was helpful, because what we really want you to do is to not even have to watch these forecasts, to just kind of come down here, take a look at where these frequencies are sitting, understand what you're feeling, and understand exactly what you need to start doing better in order to start feeling better in the future. Now, good news on the day. No alignments to talk about. Alignments are just moments that are easy for us to point out where you're going to feel, definite differences depending on how balanced or unbalanced you are. So good news on day 4. At least there's no alignments to complicate this. We're going to end this out here. As always, you've got access to all 6.5 days here. We've got the testing sequence for all of them. You can see we're already up to day 3 here. This changes out every 5 seconds. It's showing you exactly what's happening so that you're in the know. All right. Now, it is worth mentioning this. In day 4, this is the first full day that this new micro mental frequency is going to be sitting here. And that's going to be sitting in the right lower quadrant and the left lower quadrant here now for the next 7.5 days. Pretty important to know that. All right, so you know how to use this graph. Same thing here. This is just giving you the ability to look forward and see which days are going to be full of alignments. And these two graphs are synchronized together. So as this is saying day 2, this is showing you day 2 alignments. When this says day 3, the one down here, it's going to show you day 3 alignments. That's how cool that is. Now, the last chart we've got here for you is the big charts. Okay, so this is the rest of the electromagnetics for 2024. We want you to know when this pattern is going to elevate because we want you to eliminate stress at the individual level. We want you to get healthy. We want you to positively influence the people that you influence on a day-to-day basis. And most importantly, we just don't want the defensive design of your body making sure you don't pass this objective. It's that simple. We're here to help. We'll see you in the next one. All right. Thanks for your time.